Let's get seated for the health talk. Good morning, church. Last Sunday, we talked about fathers. The health as it concerns the fathers. Today, being Health Sunday, we will try to maximize the little time given to us to talk about health as it affects all age groups. Please, children of God, the Bible said we go to the ants to learn wisdom. It pains me that the 5 countries in the world with the highest age expectancy, most of them are secular states. You know what I mean by secular states? They are not religious states. Like the 2026 ranking of countries based on life expectancy, that is how many years people are expected to live before we start talking about death. You take the average. The first country there is Monaco. Monaco is just a small country. It's the second smallest country after Rome. Have Monaco. The next country there is San Marino. The third one, you talk about Hong Kong. The third one, you talk about Japan. And the fifth one, you talk about South Korea. These are 5 countries. They are secular states. Some of them are not even believers like us. Nigeria is found at number 234. You can see where we are found with our life expectancy of about 54.9 on average. Why men? Men, Nigeria, we have about 54.3. Women, 54.9. I actually do not know why men always have lower than women. So socially, we may say that the reason is because men always marry somebody younger than them. So it is clear that if I'm older than you, I should, of course, die before you, socially. No? But from my knowledge of the Bible, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there was no obituary poster that says he survived by his wife. Rather, if there would be obituary poster, it should have been the wife was survived by them. You know, Abraham buried the wife, Isaac buried the wife, and Jacob buried the wife, Rachel. It's only Leah that Jacob did not bury. But that is by the way. Please, we must be serious with our health. I've gone through the Bible and I found out the reasons why we should be careful with our health. Last Sunday, I cited the book of Proverbs 22, I think 3, that says the wise will see danger coming and the wise will go into refuge, while the foolish will be there citing all sorts of Bible. And I made mention of the parable of the 10 virgins, where Jesus said 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. So you can be a born-again Christian, but you are not wise. We must learn from the Bible. If you go to the book of 1 Kings chapter 1, it tells us about the story of David. 1 Kings chapter 1. He told us about medically what the Bible was trying to clear there is a condition we call hypothyroidism. David, a man after God so hard, was no longer interested in anything around him. If you bring the best food, David will not eat it. If you bring the best movie, he will not watch it. He was no longer interested in anything, even to the extent that his aides had to rush to go and get one of the beautiful women, believing that could attract David. But David never went for that, you know. Now, that is 1 Kings chapter 1, 1. You'll see the story. And also, the day I looked at 2 Kings 13, verse 14, I saw where Bible said Elisha fell sick. If you really know who Elisha is, you cannot think of Elisha being sick. you should think that Elisha should be like, Moses. The Bible told us in Deuteronomy 24 that Moses was 120 years. His eyes were not dim. That means he didn't need eyeglasses to see. He was still strong, like the age of a youth. So, but we are going to talk about the secret of all these people. If Elisha, with all his miracle, Elisha was a prophet that could tell the king of Israel what the king of Syria was planning in his bedroom. He had all this power. But Bible said, 2 Kings 13:14, that Elijah fell sick. And that sickness, he was not going to come out of it. That was the sickness that killed him. So let's quickly talk about the age group. Last Sunday, I started with men. So I think I will start with women. If we have time, we'll go to other groups. Now, there's something that is trending, which I want the children of God to know. We all believe that a woman can start bearing children at any time she wants. That is not true. We must understand how women are structured. A man begins to produce sperm between 10 to 14 years. That is when the man gets to puberty. And the sperm produced by a man is fresh. It means between 64 days to 72, a man produces sperm. So that is why a man at 99 years old, or even 100 years, or the day the man is going to die, the man can impregnate a woman. But a woman is not so. A woman starts producing eggs from 7 weeks inside the mother's womb. So the girl child from 7 weeks will start the process of production of what we call germ cells. These germ cells will keep on accumulating. By 7 months, still inside the mother's womb, that girl child acquires the highest number of eggs. At that point, we call it the germ cells. 7 million at 7 months. That's when he acquires the highest egg. After that 7 million, one cannot add to it. No matter the prayer, the next thing will be, it will start going down. You cannot add 7 million plus 1. It will start going down. Now, when it starts going down, then at birth, a woman is born with about 700,000 to 2 million eggs. Is going to use for her productive life. Now, with that, he continues, it will be reducing on daily basis until he gets to puberty. At puberty will be having about 300,000 to 400,000 eggs. It will keep on depreciating. Now, this is important because there is what we call primary ovarian failure or primary ovarian insufficiency. Once the value gets to about 1,000, it means that woman may not achieve pregnancy by herself because she cannot produce the eggs. And there are tests that should be done to ascertain the ovarian capacity, what we call the ovarian capital. One of them is what we call AMH. A stands for anti, M stands for Mullerian, H stands for hormone. So it is important. Why this knowledge is important is when you are selecting suitors, you should be looking at your age. Knowing very well, there's a new research that from 38 years, the depreciation will be much. That's why normally most women go into menopause from 45 to 55 years. But recently, recent studies have shown some people go in from 38 years. So from 38 years, you see rapid, loss of eggs. So when you are thinking of your career, some will say, I will not get married until I finish my PhD. Look at your egg. As the Bible said in Psalm 15 or thereabout, that he allows his sun and the rain to fall on the righteous and on the what? Unrighteous. So that is what is applicable. So that is there, the knowledge we need to know. Please, our women, whenever you notice any pain on the breast, if it is on both breasts, there's no problem. But if it is on one breast, there is an issue. You must see the doctor as fast as possible. Last Sunday, I said it, Nigeria is the only place where if you have a health issue, you rush to pharmacy shop. You must see a doctor. It is very painful that some people with breast cancer, they normally come to the hospital when it is very late, when it is advanced. If you can pick it as stage 1, it can be corrected, things can be done, and you will live your normal life. So if there is any pain on one breast, or you feel a lump on one breast, or you have a discharge on one breast, please see the doctor. Don't bother rubbing any cream. It is of no use. If they get you at stage 1, it will be amenable to treatment, to medical treatment. I think that is all I will say about the women. And also, if you are postmenopausal, that is, you are no longer seeing your menses, and you suddenly see your menses after it has stopped, please, you must see a doctor. It may be early sign of what we call endometrial cancer. Please, we are not saying it to put fear on anybody, but we are saying it because Hosea 4:6 says, my people perish for what? Lack of knowledge. So now let's talk about the adolescent. The adolescent is a period between childhood and adulthood. This is important because the parents need to understand what their children are going through. Because during that time, you have a lot of issues. Just like when some women are going into menopause, their character is expected to change. Some people will start wondering, how did he get divorce the wife? You know, if you go to some developed countries, you find out that most of the divorces that occur, it occurs when those women are passing through menopausal symptoms. Because at that time, that woman that we know that very kind, very generous, she becomes aggressive. Because at that point, there are also psychological changes aside the normal ones we know. So at that point, if you don't understand women, you will start having issues. Why are you always shouting when I'm talking to you? You need to understand that she's passing through a stage in her life. So now, in children, when children are passing through the adolescent stage, we need to understand. First, if you see a little child and tell the little child of yours that you are the owner of this church, the child believes. Or even tell the child that any motor that passes here belongs to you. That's what the child believes. But the child enters adolescent stage. The child will have higher cognitive capacity. The child will begin to query some of the things you say. If you say, let's go to church, first service, the child may say, why first service? Can't we make it second? You know, that child will start having abstract thinking. And if you, as a parent, does not understand what that child is passing through, you will see that child as being rebellious, as a child that will not obey the parents. You need to understand at that point, they need their own independence. Independence. If it's somebody that is rich, at that point, those children should have their own room, in as much as you monitor them. But you try to give them little space for them to have their own thinking. You mustn't say, this is how it must be done. You listen to them. The studies have shown that some of the parents that did not force their children to read a particular course, those children did well. Somebody like Celine Dion,
They asked her, what do you want? She said, I want to be a singer. I want to be a musician. Then at the end of the day, they didn't bother her to go and possibly write WAEC, JAMB, and all those things. They started helping her. And today, I don't think there's anybody in her own age group that can be on par with her. The same thing, we see so many people. So you need to sit down with your child. In as much, yes, Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. It doesn't mean that every time it must sit the child down. What do you want to study? Don't force the child into, this is what you must study. Let that child do that which God has brought the child. So for the adolescent stage, we need to understand at that time, you don't expect them to have everything you say exactly for them to implement it. So you try to balance it such that they will not see you as somebody that can give order, even if they don't obey it and nothing will happen. You try to balance it. Sit down, understand their challenges, and we can go ahead to sort them. So that is for the adolescent stage. Now, generally, I want to talk about as it affects everybody. We need to talk about, last Sunday, I talked about the issue of the family tree. You must get your family history. It is important that you know your family history. That family history helps you to plan your own life. To plan your own life. You cannot ignore it. If your mother dies of breast cancer, one person in the family, 2 or even more have it. So what you do is, if you know there is history of breast cancer in your family, you will now start checking yourself from time to time. That is the family history. Last Sunday, I told you people, my own family, there is history of hypertension. I was able to know it. So I began to force everybody to check their blood pressure. And at the end, I found out 2 or 3 people affected. People like us, we are exempted. That you are exempted now does not mean that in future you may not be included. You now start what we call lifestyle modification. What are the lifestyle modifications? This applies whether there is hypertension in your family, there is diabetes in your family, there is cancer in your family. There are lifestyle modifications. First, sedentary lifestyle. Some people will sit down in the house watching television. When they finish, they enter their motor, sitting down again, going to work. When they get to work, they sit down again from 8 till 5 or 4 when they dismiss. They will sit back to come back again. That is what we call sedentary lifestyle. If you are among the people into sedentary lifestyle, you don't expect to have a good health. You must include exercise. You must include exercise. I didn't ask you to go and buy all those big machines. You can, as a matter of fact, you can buy rope. Thing we were doing when we were small. In the morning, when you skip rope, you can even be jumping this way in your house. Or if you have space, you can run around your compound. That heat, we are interested in the heat you are producing. Because that heat, for chemistry students, it is combustion reaction. You are combusting fats. And that is where that heat is coming from. You must avoid sedentary lifestyle. Introduce exercise. Some of these 5 countries I mentioned, go there, you see, in the morning, people will wake up. If they are supposed to pray for 30 minutes, they will pray for 1 hour, 10 minutes, and use the rest to do exercise. That is the knowledge which is profitable for teaching. So what are we saying? You must avoid sedentary lifestyle. Staying in one place a very long time. 2, you must avoid alcohol, especially beer. You must avoid it. And smoking. I don't need to talk about much about smoking because I don't believe there's anybody here that is smoking. But if you have friends that are smoking, yours will be worse than the friends. Because if you are smoking, they put a filter and the cigarette. But if you are there, perceiving it directly, there is no filter. You are sucking in almost everything. That's why in developed countries, there are places you don't smoke. It will be well written. And when you smoke, you pay fine. Because it's not about your life. It's about the life of the people you are endangering. So alcohol, you must avoid it. Smoking, you must avoid it. Then, if you must take alcohol, we recommend you take occasionally, but avoid beer. Let it be red wine. The red wine helps to increase what we call HDL, high density lipoprotein, which I may not start explaining. You know, we've talked about exercise, we've talked about avoiding smoking, then avoiding alcohol. Then you must watch what you eat. In abroad, people live certain life not because of religion. They live it because of certain things. Like Obama was a smoker. But immediately he entered White House. Obama said, he came into White House, he saw a lot of things there. You need to speak with this president. You need to see this security report. You need to do this. He said, no. I can't add, with this stress here, I can't add smoke. That was when he stopped smoking. So you find out that you can moderate your life. That's your lifestyle, you know. Now, you must be disciplined. Discipline is important. Somebody like Obasanjo discovered that he was diabetic while he was in Yola prison. According to his book, My Watch, Volume 1, he said while he was in Yola prison, he discovered he was diabetic. He confirmed the diabetes. After confirmation, he sought for the endocrinologist. The endocrinologist came. He began to talk with him. After that, Obasanjo began to more or less start browsing, reading. In abroad, the type of patients we had in abroad is you don't depend on doctor for everything. If doctor tells you this is your diagnosis, you can go and read them up. You can buy textbooks, read them. If you go abroad and consult, you must be well prepared. It's in Nigeria where you so much trust the doctor, but in abroad, this patient will be telling you there's a research done in so place. Have you read it? We even be helping the doctor supplying the material. So you must be disciplined concerning your health. Obasanjo, when he discovered he was diabetic, he didn't go and be spending time drinking. First thing he did, he now asked them, what do I do? They take plenty of water, then eat before 7 p.m. You know, in abroad, if you have traveled abroad, and maybe you are in a hotel room, by 7 p.m., if you start calling the hotel restaurant to bring food for you, nobody will be there. So it's already part of them that they don't eat beyond 7 p.m. 7 p.m., they have eaten their night food. But in our place, in this part of the world, from 8 o'clock, the woman is still in the market buying the things to cook for dinner. By 9 o'clock, he's still pounding the yam. Now, when you now sleep with enough that, the thing you've eaten, you have issue. That's why currently we are having more of type 2 diabetes amongst us. But in abroad, whether there's family history of diabetes, there is no family history of diabetes, they don't care. By 7, it's expected you have had your dinner. You have finished your dinner. That is why there's English word called desert. The way you spell desert, the normal desert like Sahara desert, you just put S. Desert is food you eat after night food. So they now said, okay, if you eat your dinner by 7 and you are awake between 7 to 10 or thereabouts when you sleep, you may feel hungry again. So what do you eat then? You now see all those fruits. That's what they use for their dessert. You know, that's where the word came about. So you must be disciplined. Obasanjo continued. He made sure that anything involving alcohol, he threw it away. In that book, it said while he was president, he banned alcohol. In Aso Rock, I've gone to Aso Rock, you see, it's a community. It's not like just a small place, it's a community. So he banned sale of alcohol inside Aso Rock. And also his presidential jet, he banned alcohol inside the jet. So if they are bringing things, they cannot bring so-called alcohol. Because Something like diabetes, something like hypertension affect the kidneys in the long run. And alcohol, if he's diabetic, which will feed on the kidneys, you still go ahead to add extra alcohol. I had a doctor friend, medical doctor. He was hypertensive, but he's a smoker. He abuses alcohol too. We were talking to him, but you know all these things. You know it's difficult to convince somebody that know what you know. He knows all these things, and he's telling you one thing must kill a man. The summary is that something has finally killed a man. He's RIP. It's not about you. It's about the children and the widow you are going to leave behind that you don't know. They will start facing the weak early in their life, and people can take advantage of them. So that is why you must. Now, Obasanjo was president 8 years, diabetic. He never fainted any day. He never had any complications of diabetes. To the extent that he had to write it in his book, stating his health challenge. He has not fainted anywhere. You see him, he plays football, he has a gymming center, he has this, he has that. These are the things we children of God should learn. And somebody will say, but he's living. You see Adams Oshomole, he equally does his own. He will be, video the thing and send it. So you must introduce exercise, no matter where you are. And the funny thing people don't know is that, see, all this slim tea, all those things they sell to you, slim milk, slim tea, they cannot be faster in reducing your weight than exercise. Watch all the Nigerian, all the footballers you know. Do you think you eat better than they do? Do you think you have the money to eat what they eat? But because of their regular exercise, they cannot go beyond that particular weight. Because what we don't know is that most of the drugs you buy, we calculate those drugs based on assumed weight of a normal adult. For the men, we say a normal man should weigh 70 kg. So I don't know whether you've taken time to check your weight. 70 kg is what a man should weigh, while a woman is expected to weigh 60 kg. So if you now go and you weigh 120, you're looking for trouble. Because when we calculate your BMI, there's what we call body mass index, BMI, which is calculated as mass in kg over height in meters. Now, from there we have people we can say they are obese, overweight, and so on and so forth. Please, it is good you maintain your normal weight so that when you take drugs, it works. We cannot go beyond the normal calculation because of you. And one thing I must tell the church is the average heart of an adult is 300 grams. Whether you are very fat or you are like a stick of broom, or your heart weighs 300 grams. And let us consider a small experiment. If you have, I pass my neighbor, and you want to use it to power one room, and when you want to use it to power this church, which one do you think the generator will die faster? When you want to use it to power this church, is it not? That is it. So when you keep on adding weight, you are not doing your heart a favor. Because the function of the heart is to pump blood to make sure that all parts of the body gets blood. So if you are now giving the heart more load to push it very far away, you are killing the heart. That's why some people go for X-ray. They say there is cardiomegaly, enlargement of the heart. Even when they are not hypertensive. Cardiomegaly is normally common among the hypertensives. But there are people that are also normal. They are not hypertensive, but the heart is also enlarged. So what we are trying to say is there must be discipline. And also, I would like the church to learn from time to time, go and check yourself. From time to time, go and check yourself. There are basic tests which I will forward to the organizers of the program, which the church can also try to assist those other people that could not afford it. The money we would have contributed to go and tell a sister, sorry, for the loss of the husband, or a husband, sorry, for the loss of the wife, we should also do something about it. And finally, please, Bible said, be submissive to authorities. There is a medical authority which we must be submissive to. There was something I published on my Facebook this week, an incident that took place in UPTH concerning members of Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't accept blood transfusion. That blood transfusion, this is a woman who was barren for almost more than 10 years, put to bed. When she put to bed, there was what we call retained placenta. She had the retained placenta. That retained placenta, she kept on bleeding. When the doctors finally removed the placenta, the woman refused because of what their own denomination told them about blood transfusion. The doctors asked her to sign that if anything happens to you, it's not in their hand. You need blood. She refused. She maintained that she will not take blood. After the doctor suffered, died. Now that she died, when I was writing that article, I said, I remembered also when I was a student in University of Nigeria, then in old sites, there was this community they call Ngenev. This Faith Tabernacle Church, they don't go to hospital, they don't do anything medical. Now the wife delivered, and the wife was bleeding in the house. They refused. The man refused to take that very woman to the hospital. The woman bled to death. When the woman bled to death, the co-tenant brought the man, started beating the man, dragging him to the nearest police station, the CPS. Now, these are reasons why Jesus told us in Matthew 25 about the wise Christians and the foolish what? Christians. Please, like the woman, when you are pregnant and the doctor assesses and say, please, it is time for CS. Please accept. Don't say no. Don't bother to say no. Because as this prayer my mother normally prays, she will say our women will deliver like Hebrew women. Go to Hebrew. Hey, Hebrew you are talking about. Go to Hebrew. They are having CS. I don't know whether I get the point. So don't be deceived. Our prayer is for you to deliver normally. However, if the doctor says this child will be delivered by CS, please accept. Don't go and start wasting time. See, there was an incident I had where the child, I told the mother that look, this child will be delivered by CS based on what I've seen. At the end of the day, what happened? The mother refused. They went to another place. They did everything. And at the end, the child was delivered. Listen, that doctor says your wife will deliver by CS. It's not that if you say no, that the child will not be delivered. The doctor has looked at the maximum time a woman should be in labor to avoid irreversible damage in the brain of the child. Now, I told them what they did. They left. At the end, they came and they were dancing at what doctor said is not possible. It's not possible. Now, after some years, they came back with that child, complaining. The child is having delayed developmental milestone. That's what we call delayed developmental milestone. Like a child has the time the child will crawl, the time the child will start attempting to stand up. Now, when the labor is delayed, the child will start having delayed. Some of you beat your child because that child is always coming up 44 out of 45 in the class. You contributed. Why you contributed is because that very child, the labor, when the labor is prolonged, at that time, the brain of the child depends on oxygen. Now, if in each contraction the woman has, there is hypoxia. Hypoxia is a time of decreased oxygen tension. And some irreversible changes are occurring in the brain. At the end, when you finally give birth to the child may start having issues. May not do well in school. The child may need 2 more teachers to push the child. The child intelligence quotient will be small. Go and make verification. Let me say this thing before I end. In the world today, you can go and Google it. Children born by CS. Not when the woman has labored for many years or many days before CS will come. Children born by elective CS. Elective means, like in Nigeria, normally the whole world, a child is developed to be delivered from 36 weeks. But because of high illiteracy in this part of the world, we add extra 1 week. So from 37 weeks, the child, we can do elective CS. Now, children delivered by elective CS are more intelligent than children delivered after the woman has been in labor for a very long time. It's a known fact. It's not about issues. If you are intelligent, very, very intelligent, ask your mother. That's why at times you come to the hospital, doctor is asking you, when did labor start? You brought a child with cough. The doctor is asking you, useless question. When did you enter labor? Okay, when you were pregnant, did you have any rashes? Is there any issue? You said no. The doctor will still ask you, now, when you entered labor, which time did it start? Some people will say, it started like three days ago. Then until my pastor came and said, okay, no problem. I don't know what I get the point. So the number of hours you stay in labor, determines the brain of that child and the health of that child. Also, another thing that can assist the health of the child is breast milk. For some of our women, we decided you don't want your breast to fall. So there's no need of giving breast milk. Breast milk cannot be compared with any best milk in the world. Because you think if you use 10 million to buy 1 tin of milk, it cannot be compared with breast milk. Because breast milk has what we call immunoglobulin. That's A, and so on and so forth. The only immunoglobulin the child gets at birth, immunoglobulin G. But immunoglobulin A that will protect the child from nonsense diarrhea and all those stuff, it is not found in breast milk. It's not found in formula milk. All those ones you buy, SMA and rest of them. That's why initially they said HIV patients should not breastfeed initially. But they now saw that the children were dying before 28 days. You know, when a child is born, it takes 28 days for the liver to start functioning well, for the liver to start doing the work. That is why we call those children less than 28 days neonates. And that's why you have more deaths within that. So in those days, they said the child, the mother, HIV positive mother should not breastfeed. But they saw that the children were dying faster than expected. They say you can breastfeed once you are taking your drugs and the child is on her own drugs. So what are we trying to say? Please, once there is medical authority, submit to it. Take yourself from time to time. There are basic tests that should be done. Do those tests. Somebody does not just die. Just like this light goes off, and you say it's an attack. No. The engine must have been given warning before then. Some people, I met somebody in Onitsha. The BP was 230. My relative, 230. Because I came into the house, I was looking at him. I wasn't so comfortable. I said, brother, come. Sit down. I went to my car. I brought out the BP machine. I checked out 230. I told everybody in the parlor waiting for him, please, I am now taking in charge. I will see all of you. Brother, go upstairs. I rushed to the nearest pharmacy, bought some things, gave to him. Now, it was after the whole thing, he was telling me when he's moving, to be as if somebody is pushing him. And somebody is pushing him. And this person is very dedicated in the church. One day, he may just be moving and will fall. And possibly there may not be time to rescue the person. You saw how Onyeko when he died while performing. And so many other people. So check your health. When you check your health, be submissive to what they tell you. Whatever they tell you, if Obasanjo could be president 2 times and he never fainted. In Port Harcourt Airport here recently, one of the pastors, let me not call his name, he fainted in Port Harcourt Airport. Imagine that embarrassment. Check yourself. Some of these governors, you can hardly see where a governor faints. Because in the morning, they will check the governor. Buy BP machine. Take your sugar regularly. Know yourself. Things somebody don't just happen. You must tell us the reason. Please. Thank you.